Alberta. Play Alberta is offering odds boosts on every Oilers game all season long. And for a limited time only, our listeners can score a $50 free bet when they deposit $50 using code GYB50. That's how Alberta wins.
Okay, I know we're not supposed to critique wins. Well, I guess we are. We can, and we're going to. This one's certainly deserving a lot of critique. The Oilers pick up a win in Carolina in overtime on a night where, boy, a lot went wrong in the early going. But the big guns were big guns when it mattered most. And boy, did Zach Hyman ever make an entrance to the 2025-2026 season. Welcome back, Zach. Welcome to Got Your Back, folks. Looking forward to diving into this one. I'm Ryan with Shaugger. We've got Struddy, we got Brownie, we got Zuby, and we're going to have a great show tonight. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Live on X, live on YouTube, and of course, coming at you across all the different podcast platforms as well. Throw us a like and a thumbs up if you get a chance. Leave us a review. Let's get after it, shall we? Our show is always brought to you by Timberhouse Developments. They're our title sponsor. Dream, design, build, service. It's this commitment to process that helps their team create some of the finest custom homes in Edmonton. Let's take a look at a few of them here. They're absolutely gorgeous to look at. They're unique designs. They are definitely not cookie cutter. Talk to Timberhouse. They got a full team of in-house designers, decades of construction experience. They bring your ideas to life. Slides hidden inside kitchen islands. Yeah, they've done that. Garden suites for aging parents. They can do that for you too. Stunning homes, estate homes, and everything in between. Timberhouse.ca is the website. They do a heck of a job of a studio too. I am coming at you from my highly biophilic Timberhouse studio out here in Sherwood Park, bringing your ideas to life. See what you can dream up together. As we say good evening to Chris Sabunia, known as Zuby, and Jason Strudwick, Struds. Okay, boys. Struddy, you're back home, man. After a long road trip, Oilers are still out there grinding, so maybe they get a bit of a pass, just considering how long this road trip is for the quality of the play.
4 out of 6 points they have so far on this road trip. 4 to 6. So I think that's a pretty big thing to discuss. Has it been perfect hockey? No, but 4 out of 6, man. They're halfway to what the total I believe they needed, which is 8.
Yeah, not Zuby. I know, like with the title of the show, and usually with the poll, you kind of wait to see who's gonna win, if they lose, which way you're gonna shape it. Like you weren't sure which way you were gonna go with the title and the poll and everything. Like we weren't even sure what kind of pod is this gonna be tonight. Are we digging in and chewing on the side of their heads, or can we lighten it up a little bit? It was right down to the bitter end for you, Zoobs.
Yeah, well, overtime tends to be. There's been a lot of those that way. It hasn't been very often I've got to put up this way. Oilers smoke somebody and leave the graphic up here or export it even early or whatever and put my feet up and watch the third period or overtime. It's been so many of these close games and overtimes and comebacks. But yeah, we battle through.
You do. We do. Lots to break down in tonight's game. Rob Brown will be joining us in a little bit, finishing up his post-game show over on 880 Ched. So look forward to hearing what Brownie Points has to offer tonight. We'll have all our usual segments. We got Struddy's World coming up a little bit later. Ask us anything as well. So make sure you fire any questions that you have for Struds or myself or anybody into the stream. JL coming out of the gate criticizing. I thought Shaugger is not a fan. He was definitely criticizing Oilers on X during game like a fan. LOL. Not a fan. Definitely picking up some points through the game tonight. I usually don't tweet during game, Struds. I don't think you ever really do either. I tend to just kind of leave it and save it for the podcast. But there were a couple of things that had me rattled tonight. We can get into those next. But you're pretty quiet during games, aren't you?
I used to do it when I first started, and then there'd be always you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. I'm like, okay, I'll just save it for the podcast because we do it like an hour after or whatever. It's just not worth it. I couldn't argue with Phil, the bartender from whatever, right?
I
rolling
love it.
hills. I'm
I
like,
got
it's
chirped.
fine. Yeah.
I got chirped hard. I normally stay out of the mentions, but every once in a while my kids will bring them to me laughing, like, "You're getting crushed, Dad." I said Nurse and Draisaitl with ridiculous stick penalties in a tight game, not acceptable from leadership. And I mean, people just coming at you with everything from
Oh yeah.
Skinner to Bouchard to this to that. Like, it's absolute mayhem in there. And then I tweeted another one after the second period about the Oilers just not being in the ballpark. And it's entertaining. Go check out the mentions if you want to have a laugh. All right, let's get to the breakdown brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. La Hockey lives at the Canadian Brew House during every Oiler game day at any Edmonton area location. Enter to win Oiler home game tickets at Rogers Place. Plus, enjoy $1 off Molson Canadian and Coors Light tankers. 30 beers on tap, 50 plus TVs at all locations. Would have been an up and down roller coaster of a mood at Canadian Brew Houses across the city tonight with that Oiler game on all the big screens. But a big cheer at the end is what everybody got to have. And it ended up being 2 points on the road for the Oilers. Struds, I don't know, you want to reverse engineer this? You want to start at the beginning and work our way through? It was a big finish, and the Oilers definitely got better. But, man, it felt right from the beginning like, whoa, sloppy turnovers, familiar story. And I know they got out to a 2-0 lead, but they were really fortunate in my eyes to have any sort of lead to work with in that game.
They were. And, the Hurricanes, I thought at times matched the Oilers with some of the sloppy play. The first case being the Roslovic goal. Smart play by Darnell Nurse. He was pointed by Roslovic to throw it in there. Roslovic gets there first. But Freddie Anderson, really juggled that one and boom, put in the back of the net. So there was that. What I like, though, from the start for the Oilers, a lot of the Oilers players had their feet going. They really did. They were going, they were skating. And I think that's important to see, especially a team that's coming off a situation of a back-to-back.
Yeah, you can control the feet, right? Keep the feet moving. Not always going to make the right play under pressure. Sometimes things are going to happen. And they definitely coughed some pucks up early on, Struds. What do you do early in a game to make sure your hands are dialed in and you avoid that? Is it simplicity? We're seeing a lot of this from the Oilers early on in games where the hands just aren't quite there, and we're seeing those types of giveaways. And it was a bunch of guys. We definitely saw them from Frederick. I think Draisaitl had one I've got on my notes here. Like it's all kinds of guys.
Oh, this is going to sound like pretty elementary, but I think it's reminding yourself prior to the game that I'm going to be clean with my passes. And what that means is I'm going to make my passes going to be intentional, hard, where they want to go. And I'm not going to be dirty, where that dirties are like I'm throwing grenades around, or maybe I'm not sure what I'm going to do and I do a soft one. That's not what you want. Then in warm up, even zing that puck around, get a few good passes in so you feel good about yourself. So now you're slamming into the first period, being very aware of what your goals are for that game as far as decisions and plays with the puck.
All right, so we took it to 1-0 there with Roslovic, his sixth of the season. 2-0 on a goal from Connor McDavid. Pretty sloppy power play, pretty ugly power play until it wasn't. How many times have we seen that Oiler power play score after really scrambling and struggling and looking ugly, and then all of a sudden they'll just do something like that?
They do, and it was a really nice goal. And this is an elite group, obviously, and they've been together a long time. But that's kind of the way they do things, right? They'll hang around for the minute and a half, even the 2 minutes, even though I'd like to see that second unit get out there. And they just need one opportunity, one chance, and they get it done. And they find a way to score. It wasn't, perfect, but they got it done, and it was what they needed. They needed that at that moment to get that goal in there.
Finding themselves fortunate to be up 2-0. I thought Stu Skinner made some pretty good saves in the early going. Carolina starts to claw their way back into it. And Trent Frederick, who had, oh boy, tough night for him on the 2-1 goal, Struds. Just a really bad mistake from a guy that needs to make sure in those situations.
Yeah, and listen, I've been advocating for him a lot, whether it was last year and they traded for him, the playoffs, the summertime, coming to this year, we're seeing signs of it. But right now, he seems to have lost a lot of confidence. He's a half step behind a lot of times. And, this goal, it's for those that didn't see it, the puck goes high to the blue line, and 3 Oilers go up to take 2 defensemen. And that leaves a 3-on-2 below the tops of circles. So again, there was 3 Oilers playing 2 defensemen above the top of the circles. Puck goes down. There's 3 Canes below the tops of the circles playing against the 2D man. And someone's got to be aware there. Like, these are veteran players. This isn't Isaac Howard and Savoy and Tomashik. These are 3 veteran players, and they have to know better. And then you could see after that, the ice time shrank for Frederick.
Yeah, it really did. Just grabbed his shift charts here. So he was 3:55 in the first, 2:01 in the second, a minute 12 in the third period. So Trent Frederick essentially taken completely out of this game, sent the signal, you're not helping us tonight. You're more likely to hurt us. You're staying on the bench. You're stapled to the bench. This is an important player for this team. This is a guy that should be night in, night out, able to contribute and find ways, right? He has the ability to do this, but he's so far off of his core game right now that is the result, minutes like that. All right, she's a tie game at 2-2. Regula had a tough night. There's no question he had a tough night, some tough plays, Struds, and right in the middle of that 2-2 goal.
Yeah, the 2-2, that is Ehlers' goal. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, listen, there's another guy we've been talking about a lot, about Regula and his play. So he gets loses his man, isn't able to pin him on the wall initially, but then the puck goes down below the goal line, and he's puck focused, trying to stop the puck from going in opposite side of the net. But his toes are facing the puck, and there's no looking around at who's behind him. Well, ultimately, it's the guy who scores a goal who's right behind him. So, and he wasn't done there. He's this, to me, was his weakest game as an Oiler so far this year.
Yeah, I agree. It was tough. Although I will say it's in my notes. I can't remember the time code. There was one time, Struds, you probably picked this up. He was going back to retrieve a puck. It was to the left of Stuart Skinner. Hadn't quite crossed the goal line yet. He's got a guy closing on him from each direction, and there's a broken stick laying on the ice. He grabs the puck, pulls it back, eludes both guys for a middle pass, like past the broken stick in a middle breakout. And you're like, oh yeah, there it is. That play right there is why they're willing to ride him through these ups and downs, because he can make that play.
He can. The other part of it, though, is you can't be -2 as a 6th defenseman. And if you do, it's got to be
don't disagree.
very rare. And so, listen, I'm not trying to step on your point. It was a really nice play, but one nice play doesn't override 2 other ones, right? So,
100%.
He again, we got to keep in mind, this guy hasn't played much hockey. He's very young as far as NHL experience, or low on NHL experience. So they've got to live with some of these mistakes. They've lost Troy Stetcher now, so it's Emberson and Regula. And they've got to play him. They got to get him in there. He still played 13 minutes tonight, even though as I mentioned, this was, to me, his weakest game as an Oiler.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just that one play. You're just looking at that like, and this guy's got to be given the opportunity to work through it, right? He's barely got any games under his belt. And boy, would it be a lot easier if the rest of the blue line was playing better to insulate those other guys a little bit. But every mistake just is so glaring right now on the back end. We'll talk more about Stetcher coming up in the next segment. And he's part of our DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll tonight. Okay, so it's 2-2. Canes are absolutely dominating. They're schooling the Oilers in that second period, ramming it down their throats. They tie it up at 2-2. Time for the guys to dig in, right? Time for them to steel themselves and do what they need to do and claw their way back into that game. And instead, ridiculous penalties from Darnell Nurse and Leon Draisaitl. I don't care if you think they're ticky-tacky. I don't care if you think that it wasn't hard enough, this or that. When Darnell Nurse gets blown up like that, everybody on the planet is watching him. You cannot hammer 5 or 6 cross-checks into a guy's back right after you take a hit like that. Leon Draisaitl is frustrated, stops, looks at the guy, thinks about it, and then decides to take a slash at him. 2 leaders after you've just blown a 2-goal lead. Your team's in the middle of it, getting absolutely fed, and that's what you go do. I know they won the game there, Struds, but oh my goodness, was that ridiculous and indicative of some of what's gone wrong for this team this year.
So I knew that you'd bring these up. And in that moment, both players were thinking about themselves and not thinking about the team. That's the fact. When something happens to you, whether it's a hit in the case of Darnell or the slashing up the ice in the case of Leon. Just as you mentioned, everyone looking at you, and I'm talking about everyone being the two referees. They want to see what your response is because they know you're on tilt, and they can tell by body language. They can tell by the look on your face. The best way for Darnell would have been to take the number. Okay, no problem. I got it. I'll remember that one. We got some games here we got still some game left here. And then for Leon, unfortunately, sometimes you got to eat it. Like I thought maybe there could have been a penalty, against him on the way up the ice there, and they could have called it. They didn't, and it's not fair. But hockey's not fair, and it's a close game. You are starving for points for your team. And it seems like right now, every little detail, every little thing that happens can have a really serious reaction on this group because they're not playing at the level they should. So you got to swallow that. And I know it's not fair. I get it. And it's easy for me to say it. I didn't get slashed 50 times a game because I was the best player on the ice, but that's the way it goes.
Okay. So that's where the real bad is going to end. We've probably gone a little bit too far here without giving some kudos to Stuart Skinner, Struds, because while the Oilers were struggling and while they were on their heels, I thought Skinner did a really nice job of steadying things and solidifying things. And very, very much on this night, on a night, we talk about the goaltending a lot on this show. Tonight's a night where you can confidently say the goaltender did his job.
This is what Stu Skinner needs to do for this group. Keep them in the game. He made some really good saves, and he looked confident. He looked solid. I never felt like tonight, one's going to beat him, right? Or let me rephrase that. Something, there's
Bad.
a weak one that's going to go. Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. Like something. It's just there was never that moment, and I think this is when I think people find it encouraging. Like, hey, here he is. This is better. And the Oilers were okay defensively in front of him tonight. I don't know that they were amazing, but they was okay. But he was solid, and that is huge. And he needs to pile these on. He's got to get some of these together, right? He's got to string a few of these bad boys together as he works towards, I think the end of November and into middle Christmas time.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to the Stars and what they were able to do to get this thing over the finish line for them. McDavid continues to he's blasting off the points right now on an 8-game point streak. But Zach Hyman, Struds, we were wondering what's this going to look like. And I was a little bit uncertain about what the hands would look like, the battle level, being able to get in there and really, really dig. But you nailed this because you made the point, look, it's a hand injury, right? When it's a hand, you can skate, you can get yourself ready. I mean, Zach Hyman had the energy tonight to play 23 minutes, throw 11 body checks, picked up an assist. And I thought the hands, for the most part, everything looked reasonably intact and up to speed. You?
Yeah, 100%. So, I did mention it, but I'm not a genius. Just I've had a broken wrist, and I remember I got bag skated and it worked out. Like I felt when I came back, I was flying. So, a little bit of experience in that. But the hands are still have to make plays. You still have to make the plays.
Yeah.
And I thought that both his timing was pretty good and his hands, like making plays with the puck. And that was, I think that was really important for him. Should also be noted, it's his first game back. I know he was probably just busting with energy to come back and help this team. He had 10 hits tonight. I don't see him getting 10 hits every night, but he came out flying. And we didn't see that all year from him last year. Oh, my bad. Okay, 11.
Yeah.
So he had 11 hits. Now we saw in the playoffs last year, but not during the regular season. So I think we can park that notion. But really encouraged by what we saw from him, and I think he is such a huge stabilizer for this group.
Might as well just get to the UCAN Youth Services Relentless Player. If you need reliability, entry-level staff, UCAN trains Edmonton youth with the skills and confidence to show up ready to work and to grow with your team. Learn more and make a change today at ucan.ca. Right assumption by me, Struds? I mean, anybody else getting this other than Hyman tonight?
No. I had him as my guy. I had written down 10 hits, so I must have maybe looked at it too early. But Hyman, the fact how much work he put in to get healthy, to get ready, and to come back and deliver the performance he did tonight, that is the very definition of what we're trying to do with the UCAN Youth Services Relentless Player.
I saw one thing that was concerning. One thing that had me go, oh, okay, I wonder, towards the end of the game, puck comes sliding across to him. He had a chance to one-time it, and he did not. He did not crack a slapper, and it was clearly the right play to make. It was right in his wheelhouse, but instead he stopped the pass, dusted it off, and fired a snapshot. And I just wondered. I know he's not a big one-timer of the puck, but he had all kinds of time and could have and didn't. Did you notice that? What do you think?
I didn't see that, or I didn't notice it. A couple things. One, when you have a wrist injury, one-timers put a lot of pressure on your wrists. Like it's a lot. Like it is, and I'm not saying he's still hurting. I'm not saying it's not ready. I have no idea, but I'm just saying it can. So maybe he's like, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'm going to catch it and snapshot it, or maybe he doesn't like that shot. He didn't like the idea of taking that shot because, as you mentioned, he's not a big one-timer guy. So I think that or not just you, but we have to consider where he's at and where he's been. And I think that we'll see, a full recovery here from this guy, and will do those shots, but that's really not his bread and butter.
Some stranger says, anyone heard the audio of Nobby ripping on the team? We'll have that for you. Stay with us a little bit later on in the show. What's the name of it? Shoot, I
Oilers
feel bad.
Plus.
I can't remember right now. Yeah, no, it's Oilers Plus, but the show that they do, is it The Drop? Anyways, a great behind-the-scenes show available on Oilers Plus. We're going to just peel that little piece of audio out of there. You ever wonder if Chris Knoblauch has it in him to get in there and chew into the fellas? Yeah, I'm here to tell you, yeah. So we'll have that audio coming up in just a little bit. Let's get to the sound box here. Let's hear from... Who are we hearing from? Let's hear from Connor McDavid on Zach Hyman's return.
It's just great to see him. Obviously, great to see him playing. Significant injury, and I got firsthand to see him work his way back, and it wasn't always easy. It never is. Sometimes people forget the human side of it. It's an emotional thing to go through a significant injury like that, and to see him back and playing and healthy and moving really well. It's definitely uplifting for our group.
Continuing the conversation on Hyman here, it has to do with our storylines, and these are brought to you by Play Alberta. A reminder, we're going to post a betting line during the day on our social platforms that we think are tied to an interesting story. Casino winners every hour, jackpots worth millions, and revenue that stays in the province. There's never been a better time to sign up over at Play Alberta. Right now, you can get a $50 free bet when you make a minimum $50 deposit with the code GYB50. Struds, we saw a lot of examples on the ice tonight of the way that Zach Hyman can help out. I think he's going to help out behind the scenes a lot as well. Zuby, you had, I believe, was it an anytime goal that we had boosted today on Hyman, though he didn't get it, but boy, he was all around it.
Yeah, that's what we were looking for. It was the anytime goal for Zach Hyman. Certainly there were those opportunities. I think I know the play you're talking about, Shaugger, and he did shoot it, right? He still took a shot, but he stopped it, he shot it, and it didn't quite, the shot didn't quite have that snap on it either. It was good. I mean, it had a chance, but yeah, I think obviously those goals will come. We were hopeful we might see one here tonight in the debut, but still a great first game back for Hyman. All the energy he was bringing energy for sure.
For sure, Struds. A lot of talk about kind of the spirit of this team. And you watch them play and you wonder about that. And I can't help but think that Zach Hyman's going to push that in the right direction in a lot of ways.
I think for Connor, it's very comfortable to have his buddy Zach beside him. And not that he needs him, but everyone has that person they like to be with. And I think he likes to be with Zach, Nuge, or Leon. So I think this helps a lot. And then Brownie's made this point, and I couldn't agree more, is that it pushes other people into more comfortable spots. It seems clear that Roslovic, Puckholz, and our Leon's guys. And I know that the lines got jumbled, but when you start it and when Nuge comes back, if Savoy's on there at that top line, it really changes things on that third line. Tons of changes. And it puts a lot of pressure on people to fight for ice time on that third line, because it is right now. I think it's an open opposition for a lot of people on that third line.
Yeah, definitely is. That's our storylines brought to you by Play Alberta. Okay, Struds, let's pick up where we left off there. So Connor McDavid takes a nice feed from Leon Draisaitl. She's a 3-2 game, and the Oilers very fortunate to have a lead in the hockey game. Carolina's resilient. They're plucky. They're not going anywhere. Another tough play from Regula, out-muscled on the wall, and all of a sudden she's a tie game. Anything about either of those goals you want to pitch in?
I like the play by Zach Hyman. You know, the thing I like about, he takes a play to make a hit. You know, when you first come back, that first game, you're like, am I okay? And I know it's his arm, but still, you know, just think of anyone who's ever been injured. The first time you bump into something, like, oh my God, it's done, you know? And so for him, he takes that hit, bumps it.
After that hit, did you see the way he went into the boards with the hand?
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. But he knew he was going to get hit, and he takes a play to make it. And I think my point is, once you take that first hit like that, and he's giving hits, so it's maybe a little different, but you're like, I'll be okay. Now your game's on. The goal against, when you're a big D-man who skates pretty well with Regula, you can't get beat to the outside like that, and you have to angle that player off. 1,000,000%, you have to angle that guy off. You cannot get taken. And your point was pretty well made. I thought he did get out muscled. On the flip side, Jack Roslovic was skating right beside Stahl, who scores the goal, and no tying up of the stick. Those are details that I'm sure will be reminded to him and others on the team, because it's preventable. Now, Stahl's a really strong guy. Doesn't mean you're going to stop him, but at least put up the fight. Make it harder.
So 3-3 game, and it's heading to overtime. Oilers are always going to be confident in this situation. They can start the big guys. Bless you, Struddy. You got the mute button on, but big sneeze there. Oilers are always going to be confident. You can throw those guys out on the ice. And Struds, I don't know. I was trying to see if I could find Draisaitl statistics in the faceoff circle period by period. I'm not sure what he is. I'd be fascinated to know what his career faceoff percentage is in overtime, because he starts it by winning the draw, and then he finishes it off.
Every time there's an overtime, we've seen a lot lately, that initial faceoff reminds me of the tush push the Philadelphia Eagles used in the NFL. Everyone is geared up. Everyone knows what's happening. They know what's on the line. You need to win this faceoff. And they all lean in. Everyone's leaning in to try to get that win. And Leon, more often than not, I think, wins them. So anyways, they get it. And this seemed very deliberate, very, hey, let's just go score this so we can get out of here. And it goes back behind to Bouchard, and then it moves up and a crisscross at the blue line with Connor and Leon. And Leon's allowed to walk right down Main Street and just beats him. And I love the reaction from Leon. He put his hand in there and smiled and was happy. And even when Connor scored the second goal, he was happy and excited. Like, I think those are good signs. We haven't seen a lot of that. They've been more reacting like it's an exhibition game up to maybe a week ago or so. So I love the deliberate, and we're like, we're getting this done. We're scoring. We're getting these 2 points and getting the hell out of here. Not going to put this one in the Louvre, but we got the 2 points and we're gone.
To the Weiss Johnson soundbox, McDavid with some interesting comments on the team at 3-on-3, their confidence level, but how he's felt about this season. We'll remind you, the sound brought to you by Weiss Johnson. Should you need a new train, furnace, air conditioner, heat pump, hot water tank, or garage heater, they're now offering 24 months, no interest, equal payments, OAC, to make your purchase easier heading into the Christmas season. Their family helping your family for nearly 50 years. Visit WJJingle.com for exclusive specials. Just forgot your back, Jingle lovers. That's WJJingle.com. And you know we're going to let it ride a little tonight after an overtime win. Jingle.
Weiss Johnson, whoa. We're proud to be local and family owned. Count on experience to speak for itself.
Going second verse here, Struds? Your call.
No, I think that's appropriate amount today. I think. What do you think?
You're good with that?
I think it's appropriate.
Okay, we'll cut it. I wanted to, people. Uncle Struddy said no. McDavid reflecting a bit. 3-on-3.
Honestly, I think we've had better years 3-on-3. Our little 3-man group there. We've had lots of opportunities, lots of games gone to overtime, and we haven't been able to be the difference in a lot of nights. So that's what we get paid to do. We get paid to be the difference, and tonight we were able to do that. But we've got lots of experience playing 3-on-3. We enjoy it. Playing with 2 special players out there, so it's always exciting.
What do you make of that, Struds?
He's right. I mean, I love how he says I'm up there with 2 special players. I think he's pretty special himself. So it's a pretty amazing group. What I find interesting is that everyone knows what's coming in overtime from the other team, and I'm sure they talk about it, right? I think they'll either amongst themselves as coaches, or they'll talk to their first 3 units and say, we got to win this face-off. We got to do this, limit that. So everyone's prepping, but Again, they get it done a lot in the overtime. And I think it's sometimes they're comfortable to get there because they know that they have better than a coin flip or coin toss chance of winning the game.
McDavid, though, he had a really good comment post-game. I mean, they're finding ways to win games. They're grinding out points, but, I mean, they're not – it's not a Picasso. Like what do you say? They're not hanging it in the Louvre, I think you said.
Right.
And McDavid's post-game comment here very much reflecting that idea, too.
Yeah, just dug in, kind of hanging on for a little bit. And I think I'm sounding like a broken record, honestly, when we win, but it just found a way to win a game. I know it's painful to say, but they're a really good team over there. We hung up.
Yes, they did. They hung on. All right, let's get to the DeBoers Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll brought to you by DeBoers. Score 50% off clothing and footwear, 25 to 50% off bags, $10 a dozen on Callaway Chrome golf balls, and grab selected brand name wedges for $99. These deals and more all month long, located at 5311 99th Street right here in Edmonton. Zuby, hop in. We got a Troy Stecher related poll tonight.
Yeah, so the question tonight is, which of these options best represents how you're feeling about the Oilers losing Troy Stecher? The first choice is, no big deal, he's the 8th D. The second choice is, too bad, he always gave his best. Third choice is, I would have rather lost Emberson. And the fourth choice is, he became expendable because of adding Regula. So those are the four.
Tough night for option 4, I would say.
Yeah, well,
folks.
recency bias, possibly.
Totally,
but bigger picture.
It's a very legitimate point. I'm not carving you, but well, you know what? We'll give our answers to that coming up in the next segment. We're going to talk a little bit about Troy Stecher in our next segment. Also, going to listen to Chris Knoblauch chewing into the fellers a little over on Oilers Plus. Some interesting audio there. I think it was after the Detroit game, so we'll have that coming up. And we got Rob Brown on deck. He'll be joining us fairly shortly here as well on Got Your Back. As we go to break, Zuby, our good friend Graham Neal sent me something today. I had never heard this before, and I think it's just going to be an amazing addition to our show. You are the brains of the operation. You continue to work when Struds and I go lay our giant balding heads on the pillow and fall asleep. You're the conscience of the show. You're the backbone of the show, and quite frankly, we need to find more ways to appreciate you. So as we go to break, little Zuby appreciation here on Got Your Back.
Uh-oh.
Zuby, Zuby, Zoo. Zuby, Zuby, Zoo. Zuby, Zuby, Zoo, Zuby, Zoo, Zuby, Zoo means that I love you.
We'll be right back.
Zuby, Zuby, Zoo.
What is this?
There you go, buddy. You deserve that.
Is that Graham Neal singing?
Yeah.
No.
Through the auto-tune. All right, here we go.
Yeah. Mainline Water and Sewer specializes in sewer line repair and replacement using advanced trenchless methods for fast, clean results. They provide detailed sewer assessments and scoping to identify problems before they become costly. Serving both residential and commercial properties, no job is too big or too small, and with over 40 years of experience, they've seen it all. Trust Mainline to keep your lines flowing smoothly. Time now for our takeaways, brought to you by Chandos Construction. Chandos doesn't just hire talent, they invest in it. 100% employee owned, so when their people grow, the whole company grows right along with them. Ready to build something that matters? Apply now. Be part of a great team. Chandos.com/apply. That's CHANDOS.com/apply. Struds, Troy Stecher ends up the odd man out, gets put on waivers, plucked by the Toronto Maple Leafs, who obviously have their depth issues on the blue line as well. We asked people how they felt about losing Troy Stecher from the organization. What are your thoughts about his time here and the fact that in the end, he's a guy that they end up just having to lose for nothing based on numbers?
He gave everything he could to this team. I mean, he's a 7th, 8th defenseman, and he gave it all. He was great. I give him an A+ first time at the Oilers. He's a 7th, 8th D man. We're not looking for him to win a Norris Trophy, looking to compete, come in and out of the lineup, which isn't easy. And you're just sitting there watching. All of a sudden, someone gets hurt. You're like, "Hey, I'm in the next game," and you get your mindset right. So, really good job by him. I think the Leafs. When I watch the Leafs, he is exponentially better than Philip Myers. Myers is a right shot demon on Toronto, and he is he. They need to review the usage of him in the NHL, if you guys understand what I'm saying. And so I think Troy Stetch is going to go there, and I would play him well above Sir Philip Myers.
Yeah. I like the fact that Stetcher was a guy who could kind of drop into any situation, and you had a pretty good idea what you were going to get. I mean, he couldn't help but be outmuscled and outsized, and he was in those situations often, and he'd go, okay, there it is. That's why. He can't necessarily be an everyday guy, but I mean, he can walk into a Stanley Cup final and hold his own. He can walk into a playoff series. He can play,
100%.
Sit and be a healthy scratch, and you bring him in and he does his job. My sense is he's hates being scratched and isn't afraid to let people know he's not super pumped about it, but is there for the team and a good team guy and all the things you want from that depth defenseman. So it's definitely a loss for the team, but this is about Alec Regula. And on a night where people are probably feeling a little bit frustrated with him, Struds, there's a long-term plan for this player. This team believes in this player, and this is just part of placing bets on guys sometimes.
Regula's ceiling is much higher than Stetcher. And now, what that ceiling is, I don't know. I'd like to think he could become a third-pairing defenseman with the decision-making he has, his size, good skater. There's that. But he hasn't played. Guys, he's missed so much time with injury that it really is hard. So he can't be sharing a spot, and there is a spot on this blue line, the sixth spot, with two other people, so 3 total. It doesn't work. He's got to play and play and play. Quite frankly, I'd like to see the 2-1 games, Regula to Emberson, here on out. Let him go. Get him going, because I believe his ceiling is higher than Emberson's as well.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree. And just in the little bit that we've seen, I definitely think he's got a higher ceiling. Okay, we've been promising this audio. Let's get to it. And once again, really want to stress this is courtesy Oilers Plus. I don't work for the team. I'm not here to sell their stuff, but they have some really good behind-the-scenes stuff in the drop, which is their behind-the-scenes. They drop it now and then. Just a timeline, all the things that maybe we as regular media don't get to see. So there's a lot of value in keeping an eye on these shows. We've wondered what it's like with Chris Knoblauch behind the scenes, Struts. We've wondered, does he ever get mad? Does he ever dig in? Does he show a pulse? How often does he do it? I think we all know him as being fairly even keeled, but in their latest episode over on Oilers Plus, we've just got the audio here. Here's Chris Knoblauch, heading into the locker room after, their game. I believe it was after the game against the Detroit Red Wings. Here it is.
No chance of winning against anybody. On the attack, we're standing still here, and we're looking to Dipsy Doodle make a little pass. We carry it up. We run out of real estate. We're still looking to make a play. If we can't clean up that, we can't clean up anything.
Well, la-dee-da. The guy's got some kind of pulse when he wants to unleash there. As we say, good evening to Rob Brown. We will get all things, your thoughts on the game coming up here, Brownie, but we're focused on Knoblauch. Struds, you start. What'd you think?
Listen, we don't really know what goes on inside that dressing room, but I know that every coach at some point reaches his boiling point and he unleashes the fury, Mitch. And so I remember that game, and I know what he's talking about. The Oilers have been frustrating. There's a higher standard for them. And at some point, the coach has got to peel the paint and get their attention. Because the problem is, Brownie, and I know Brownie's here, a lot of times the guys that need to hear it, or the one that's directed at, they're not listening. That's the problem when you casually mention it.
That is so true, Stress. That is so true. And you look around the dressing room, and you're like, I'm yelling at you, and you're looking the other way. No, seriously, it's you I'm trying to say it to.
Yeah.
I've had that coaching kids teams, like when you're having the moment where you're like, okay, here's what we need, and the one that you're trying to say it to is looking down at his skates, taking his tape off his socks. But I mean, it's funny. I got texts from people like they were surprised that Knoblauch did it. I'm like, no, I'm not surprised. I mean, he's a coach in the National Hockey League. At some point, he gets mad. I love his bench demeanor. This team changed. When they got him on the bench, they stopped taking stupid penalties because they now had a coach that had a calm demeanor that made them have a calm demeanor as a team as a whole. I've played for coaches that scream all the time, and Strud, you and I both know if the coach screams all the time, you stop listening. And it's like when your dad talks. If your dad never raises his voice, and that one day he raises his voice, it's much more noticeable, and it grabs your attention. So if Chris Knoblauch keeps that calm demeanor and then one night snaps, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, now we've got to start. He's mad. He doesn't get mad up. We made the coach mad. We must be better. So to me, I was giggling when all these texts were coming in. Well, he's an NHL coach. Of course he yells at the players every once in a while.
I like the fact that they included this, Struds. I mean, this is produced by the team, by people that work for the team. I'm sure they get video of things every once in a while, and they're like, yeah, we're definitely not putting that in there. They put this in there on purpose. Like, the world kind of needed to see that Knoblauch has that in him. And I'm not suggesting that I questioned his ability to get in there and elicit a response from his players. But just to hear him have that in him, you can't do that very often, buddy, but I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall after he walked out, kind of the players, because if that's the first time that he truly did that, just sort of what you'd think in that moment, like, oh, okay.
So, guys, let me ask
but
you
I don't
this.
think that
Do you
would have been his first time,
Yeah.
Yeah, could be right, Brownie, for sure, buddy, for sure.
Do you guys think that they needed to get his sign off to say it's okay to include it? Did they ask him?
I would guess, yeah. I would guess, like, yeah, I mean, and that would be normal. They're producing their own content. So I think it would be normal to, I don't know for a fact, but I would assume that, a few layers of the communication staff and such, they'd be like, are we good with this? And maybe it's just a quick check-in with them or something like that. I'm glad they put it in. That's very real stuff. I'm glad they put it in.
Brownie?
Well, yeah, to me, it's part of the game. I'm glad they had the beeps, so you didn't get to hear all the words. But no, that's part of the game. But again, to me, I'm sure this is not the first time they've heard him do that. He probably doesn't do it often. He probably doesn't have to do it often. They've gone to the Stanley Cup Finals back-to-back years. But every once in a while, you just got to reset your team and let them know that things aren't good enough. Status quo isn't good enough. And again, if you yell too much, and I played for some yellers. I played for Hitch. I played for Mike Keenan. I played for some yellers. And if they yell all the time, you stop listening because that's their normal. Their normal is screaming. But if their normal is calm, and every once in a while, 3, 4, 5 times a year, they come in and lose it, well, you take notice of those ones.
All right. We're going to call a little bit of an audible here. That was our takeaways brought to you by Shandos. Brownie, we really want to know your thoughts and key points on the game and such. So we're just going to dig right in on Brownie points here, buddy. We're going to get you to dig into that right away. And that's brought to you by the Alberta Ram Dealers. Get 10 years of built-in confidence at your Alberta Ram Dealers. With Canada's best full-size truck limited powertrain warranty, every new 2026 Ram truck comes with a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer warranty. That's 10 years, 160K. Check it out at your Ram dealer today. Great-looking machine is the Dodge Ram. Brownie?
Well, I'm going to start with 13 Brownie points to Leon Draisaitl, who was an absolute beast in this game tonight. He had 3 points. He was +2. Was 73% in faceoff, including winning the overtime faceoff. And, of course, he scored his 13th of the year and the overtime game-winning goal. On nights like this, you can understand why at times Leon Draisaitl is the best player in the world. He was fantastic in tonight's game. I got 917 Brownie points to Oilers' Stuart Skinner, who had another strong start as he finished the game with a .917 save percentage and was the only reason that the Edmonton Oilers went into the third period with the game tied and having a chance to win this. There's been a lot of talk about and things written about the team having lost confidence in Stu Skinner and not believing in Stu Skinner. I don't believe any of that is true. I thought Skinner was by far the better of the two goalies tonight, and a big reason they got 2 points. That was a quality start by Stu Skinner. I have 14. Well, actually, first of all, no player on the Oilers had more incentive to have a big night in this game than former Carolina Hurricane Jack Roslovic. He was with the Hurricanes last year. They didn't re-sign him. He was healthy scratched in the playoffs for him. I've got 14 brownie points for him as he burned his former team with a goal and an assist and now has 14 points in his 18 games as an Edmonton Oiler. Another strong game for Jack Roslovic. I have 5 brownie points to overtime in the National Hockey League, as the Edmonton Oilers now have more wins, 5, in overtime shootouts than they do in regulation. Half glass full, the Oilers are now 9-7-4 on the season and win another exciting game. Glass half empty, the Oilers have only won 4 games in regulation this year, and in 2 of those games, they were not the better of the team. Unfortunately for the Oilers, you do not play 3-on-3 overtime come playoffs. So, fun for the Oilers winning in overtime, but they need to start playing better through the first 60 minutes. And my final one, I got 23 brownie points to Zach Hyman, who played his first game since May. You always wonder how much a player will have in the tank after he's missed 6 months of hockey. He stepped into a lineup that had already played 20 games this season. You're wondering how the coach is going to use him. Is he going to watch him slowly and ease him into the game? He played 8.5 minutes in the first 20. He had 5 hits in the first 20. He ended up with 23 minutes and led the team with 11 hits, playing exactly like he did in the playoffs last year. Not only did his teammates and his coach and all the fans here in Edmonton notice how big a game Zach Hyman had tonight, I also believe there's people watching from Team Canada's management. And I think right now Zach Hyman is trying to generate for his Edmonton Oilers, but also find interest from Team Canada to be on that Olympic team as well. Tonight was a very good first step for Zach and the Oilers, and hopefully Zach with Team Canada. And those, my friends, are tonight's brownie points.
Yeah, that was a nice collection of brownie points for sure. A really nice basket, if you will. When you look at Zach Hyman, his legs, I think there was no way show at all. The hands, right, Brownie? Where did you, was there a drop off? What did you see? And then did you ever have the experience or know of anyone, and how long time it takes back to get to that feeling where it's automatic and you're not wondering what's going to happen when the puck touches your stick?
It's funny. Everything else about his game was good. His physicality. He knew 3 times he stood at the far blue line where he beats guys, getting the long pass, driving the net, going around, using his body as to ward off the defender. The last thing that comes back is your hand. Simply, it's the hardest thing. Some guys, as we know, some guys don't have hands their entire career. But Zach Hyman, we saw his one really good scoring chance tonight. He kind of flubbed it. And that was, I wasn't directed at anyone in particular, Jason.
I think it
the
was.
One scoring chance, and the one scoring chance he kind of flubbed. And I think that's the last thing to come back, is just having the confidence. When good skilled players don't think. When the puck's on their stick, they don't think where the puck. They don't even have to look. They know where they're going with the puck. They know how to shoot it. They know what angle to take. All of that just is second nature. And I think that's the last thing to come back for Hyman. And that'll come through practice, but more so come through games. Because in practice, you have time, you have space, and there's not as much pressure. I think Hyman is going to continue to get better. But all the other attributes that he brings, we saw it tonight. And I thought he had an excellent hockey game tonight for the Oilers.
Brownie, dialing in on Leon Draisaitl a little bit here. He's just so money in overtime. 1, because he can win you the draw, and he seems to almost every time. 2, because those guys are just so comfortable out there with one another. I ripped him a little bit for that penalty. I hated those penalties from him and Darnell Nurse in a tie game after they'd blown that lead. So still a little bit of up and down in his game here. McDavid's on this 8-game heater as well. Where are you at with these two getting back to the level that is normally expected of them? We've seen slow starts before, but does it feel like it's rounding into the proper form here, even though there's some ups and downs?
Well, let's start first with the penalties. Both penalties were dumb, but The one thing that we haven't seen from the Oilers this year is any nastiness, any anger in their game. The coach said some of the play has been soft. We know that when Leon Draisaitl is playing his best, he's playing angry. He's playing mad. So, yes, it was a dumb penalty, but the rest of the game, he was outstanding in this hockey game. He was a beast. He was physically going after guys. They're now Nurse again. There hasn't been the physicality from Nurse this year that we need. He got absolutely blown up on that hit. And he went after. I cross-checked him 12 times. So, yes, the penalties were dumb, but you were doing it against a team that can't score in the power play anyways. And this is the first time we've seen the Oilers actually have some fight back. So that is important. As for Connor and Leon, I think both of them are back where they're at. I mean, they're getting 2-3 points every night. Connor is Connor right now. Now, it's not for the whole 60 minutes, but when the game starts to get a little bit more important, as it moves on into the later in the second period, the third period, they've taken over the last number of games. So I do believe they've rounded into form, and you're starting to see the two best players in the world play like they're capable of playing, which is one of the reasons they probably have 3 of their last 4 games that got wins.
Yep. Great analysis, Brownie. Love it. That was Brownie Points, brought to you by the Alberta Ram dealers. Let's push forward a little bit here and talk about some potential adjustments. And I want to focus on Trent Frederick a little bit here and how to try and get this player unstuck. Core adjustments brought to you by HSE Core Services, from creating and managing safety programs to audits and those required contractor registries. HSE Core keeps your business compliant so you can keep working. Visit www.hsecor.com for more information. It was a tough night, Brownie, for Frederick. Struds and I detailed it in great detail in the first segment. The question is, what can you do if you're Chris Knoblauch to try and get better results out of this player? You know, there's a healthy scratch option. Quite frankly, his play probably dictates that it's heading in that direction. But he also stepped up for the team in a huge way a few games ago. He's a veteran guy on a long-term deal, so are you ready for that? There's a few different tools at his disposal. Maybe, Struds, I'll start with you. Is it in healthy scratch territory yet, or are there more things Knoblauch can do to try and get better results here?
I've been very bullish on this player from the time they acquired him, playoff signing, start of the season. And I'm having a hard time right now defending the way he's playing. So what's at the root of it? Is his ankle not right? Is it not 100%? Maybe it's time to put him on IR or LTIR, whatever, and say, he needs to get this healthy. And I don't know that that's what it is, but it just doesn't seem like he has any jump or fight in his battle when he's trying to win those puck battles. So a healthy scratch I'd be hesitant on, but a quick review and say, hey, we're going to take some time. We're going to let this guy do whatever can be done for a week or two to get it back up and right. Because it's right now, it was getting better. It started weak. I thought he was getting better, and now continues to slide, Brownie. And I don't really know where else to put him. He was on a very veteran third line that I thought tonight had a tough time, really tough time when they played.
Well, it's funny. I was the opposite of you. I in our group chat, I questioned when they signed him to the long-term deal. I don't like the contract. I don't know what he brings. There's the physicality that he brings. A lot of nights you don't notice it, so it's not an angry or a mean physicality. The scoring is not there at all. We saw 2 games ago, not tonight, 2 games ago, his line got hemmed in 3 times in one game for like over a minute, and he was part of the problem. They've had him everywhere. They played him on the power play, which I was shocked by. They played him in the top line, the second line. He's on the third line, and then eventually tonight he was on the fourth line. He played 7 minutes. He played fewer than any other player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what his game is. In all honesty, I don't think he's a fighter. I think he's capable of fighting if he needed to, but that's not his game. He's not a guy that plays angry, or we haven't seen it. He's not offensive at all. So I don't know what you do with him. And the problem, right now you don't healthy scratch him because you don't need to. But you're going to get Nugent Hopkins back, and you're going to get Kapanen back. We saw tonight the trust. In the third period, Janmark played center, I think, between Roslovic and Savoyer played with them. Coach loves them. Curtis Lazar took big face-offs when the team was shorthanded on the right side and won them in this game. He was an important piece. If this team is healthy, Trent Frederick is your healthy scratch because every other player ahead of him has something they offer. They'll either penalty kill, they'll power play. I don't know if there's a way you can unlock it because he's been called out by media. He's been sat on the bench. Obviously, the coaches haven't been happy with his play, yet it has not changed. You haven't seen any of his demeanor change. If you're mad or you're not happy with what you're getting in ice time or where you're playing, show it on the ice. And Fred Frederick has not done that yet this year.
Maverick chimes in and says, Frederick will get better. He has 8 years. They placed a bet on this player. And every once in a while as an organization, you have to identify somebody that you think is the right person and the right player. And you take some chips and you put them down on the table and you say, we're betting on this player. This is the bet that the Oilers have made. The Trent Frederick at his size and when he's healthy, pretty good skater that, previously has shown he can play a pretty physical game. And he's willing to engage. He's willing to stand up for his teammates, right? These are the things that he had shown in the past. The gamble the Oilers made here was that those attributes are going to be more rare moving forward. They're going to be harder to find. And if you can be a player that gets 12 to 15 goals while doing that, you're going to be more and more expensive as time goes on. This deal does not look good right now. No question about it. But Struds, big picture, this is still early in the life of this deal. And this is a new environment for this player. He's dealt with some health issues. I'm not trying to line up excuses. What I'm saying is this might take a little bit of time. For whatever reason, he's not feeling it. But this is a long-term relationship they've got here. So they just got to get to work on helping him figure it out.
They do. And I'm guaranteed there's been sit-downs with the head coach. There's been sit-downs with assistants. You could even talk about a teammate to teammate chat here. There's been a lot done. I had a similar high ankle sprain twice, and I know Brownie, you did too. And it took a year to get it right. It really did still hamper my skating. And no, I was an elite skater, so probably didn't notice. But it does take a while for it to kind of come back. So I think that man, I do believe in this player. Unlike Brownie, I like what this guy can be. In my mind, I still see him as a third-line center for this team. I still feel strongly about that because I think he is smart. I think he's got some smarts in his game. And I think he's a guy that's going to be able to play against other teams' top lines. I'd honestly show him some shifts of Charlie Coyle. Look how Charlie's playing. How can you, bring some of that to what you're doing night in, night out, or not doing right now, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't see it, Strud. I don't. I hope I'm wrong. I really am because you got him for 8 years. You just think about that when they get healthy, where do you play him? If Nugent Hopkins is playing on your third line center, where do you got Trent Frederick? The coaches. It's not like they haven't given him opportunities. He started with Connor and Leon. He's played on their power play. He's been given quality minutes. And he's done nothing. And again, I've had a bad ankle too, and I don't know if that's it or not. But that doesn't take away the anger or the aggression from you. That might take away your ability to, go top speed or to turn quickly. But he's played with zero emotion other than the one shift when he came out to fight, which was more or less he was called out. And other than that, I have not seen any gnarliness from him. Janmark brought it. I mean, Hyman hasn't played in 6 months. Hyman's a 50-goal scorer, and look how he played tonight.
Yeah.
And you don't get that from Frederick. To me, that's shame on Frederick. If you 50-goal scorer miss 6 months, and in his first 8 minutes, he has 5 hits, and they weren't little hits. They were mean hits. If Hyman can do that, then why can't Trent Frederick?
Very fair. Very fair. Great points by you, Brownie. By the way, Mangiapane, 11 minutes and 35 seconds, -1. So between Mangiapane and Frederick here, they got a lot of money tied up in a couple of guys that Bowman has bet on that so far the returns have not been very good. All I would say to the Oiler fan that's frustrated and stressed out about this is It's not been a great start to the year for this team. Guys often struggle when they change locations. This does not have to be their story for the whole year because I think fundamentally they're still decent players here, but they definitely need to get this thing turned around because as of right now, they're sucking a lot of oxygen, a lot of money out of the cap and a lot of ice time, and it's been empty calories in a lot of ways for these guys. Brownie, would you healthy scratch them?
Not yet. I wouldn't yet. I think once Nugent Hopkins comes back, then you got to make a decision. I mean, just think though, had they not lucked into or made the bet on Jack Roslovic, what this team would look like?
Huge.
I mean, he's been like, it's unbelievable how good he has been. He's been the exact opposite of what Mangiapane and Frederick is. And I know that I just talked a lot about Frederick, but Mangiapane's in the same boat. He has been really unnoticeable for the last 10 to 12 games, and he is falling down the lineup as well. But Ed, to your question, would I bench or sit Frederick? Not yet, I wouldn't. But when Nugent Hopkins comes back and Kapanen comes back, right now of all the players in the lineup, he is the one that's giving you the least.
All right, that was Core Adjustments brought to you by HSE Core Services. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, going to dive into Struddy's world, give the big guy center stage. We'll have Ask Us Anything as well, so make sure you fire in any questions that you have, and we will take a couple laps around the league and see what else is going on. This is Got Your Back, presented by Timber House.
For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit BelvedereGCC.com today.
Choosing to buy a home is one of the biggest financial and personal decisions you'll ever make. It's a decision that requires strategic planning, market expertise, and a trusted advisor to guide the way. The team at Body Realty with Royal LePage AR team combines deep market knowledge, forward-thinking guidance, and exceptional dedication to make the process effortless and stress-free. Where every client is treated like the only client, visit BaddyRealty.com, a real estate group like no other.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
Time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products, Alberta's leading supplier of vinyl products, offering premium materials for fences and decks designed to stand the test of time. No rotting, no fading, no deteriorating. Whether you're looking for a professional contractor or planning to tackle the project yourself, they've got the resources and expertise to help. Canadian owned by my brothers, operated as well in Canada with locations in Calgary and Edmonton. DLRvinylproducts.ca. Big guy.
So recently, I was down with my son in Calgary at a hockey tournament, and with the coaches, we share a room, and I love it. It actually brings me back to when I was playing. We share a room with a guy. So my roommate is Nate, great guy, younger, quite a bit younger, but great guy. But I've become accustomed to sleeping with a bit of noise in the room. So we get into the room, and I see there's a sound machine there. So like it was kind of awkward. Like, do you bring it up? Should I ask him or not? So I decided to do the most reasonable thing. I turn off all the lights. I think he's asleep, and I turn it on. So it's like 5 minutes in. I think he's asleep, and he's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "That's a sound machine." He's like, "Well, why is it on?" I'm like, "It helps me sleep." He's like, "Well, I don't want to have it on." I'm like, "Well, it's on." So now we have to turn the lights on, and we have to talk about why we should or shouldn't have this machine on. So in the end, again, being reasonable, I pulled I'm older card, so we have the sound machine. So for a few nights, we had the sound machine on. I think I actually converted him to it. But two questions, boys. What is the right protocol when you're sleeping or turning on a sleep machine? And do any of you guys have noise? Because I actually have a fan. I put a fan on in my room. I've always done that. I love the sound. It kind of drowns out other things. So in the end, it's fine. Nate and I agreed that I was right. I think he was just more deferring to my age than anything.
Wow. Brownie?
To answer both your questions, Strud, Holly and I, we sleep, we have white noise. I play off my phone.
Oh, yeah.
I have it on full blast on my phone, and it's on all night long. And I bet you, well, we've been together, I think, Holly and I, 35 years. I bet you almost all 35 years we've had some sort of sound machine, and now it's on my phone. But I have white noise, and I go on golf trips and stuff. Whoever's rooming with me, we're listening to white noise. I cannot sleep without. I can't handle it. Like in the middle of the night, there's a dripping or something, or something. I need constant noise, the entire thing, to blank everything out. And as for the proper protocol on that, well, you probably should have mentioned it to him before you went to sleep. Said, hey, this is what I do. I am the veteran of the room, so I can, like, the veteran always controls the remote. The veteran also controls the white noise machine. So you were in the right. You probably went about it the wrong way.
Okay, I got two things on this. First and foremost, why did you guys have to turn the lights on and discuss this? Like, why was it like, what is that? Oh, it's my sound machine. Hang on a sec. I'll get the lights. We need to talk about this. Like, why turn the lights on and sit up and have a discussion about it?
Because I want to see the look in my eyes when I'm talking about him, right? I want to understand why it's important.
Right. Okay. Well, that seemed odd. Like, let's fire on the lights here and sit up in our underwear and have a chat. The other thing too, Struds, is like, if you need sound to be able to sleep, no problem. Like, you can get headphones that you wear at night. You can get those headbands that are headphones. And you just have the sound yourself. Why do you have to subject your roommates to it when the technology exists for you to just do it yourself? You're being selfish, man.
Yeah. So listen, let's be clear. Just because you wear headphones and then you listen to audiobooks and count that as quote unquote reading a book doesn't mean the rest of the world have to be animals like that. Why would you want to have that? Like those huge things, you can't get your head on the pillow.
Not. Little headband with the flat ear things.
I don't want anything.
They're unreal.
There. I don't want that on there. It's just in the background. It fills a room with that beautiful sound. Now, I don't listen. Some people are talking about putting the whale sounds. I'm not into the whale sounds. I need predictable, just constant sound, right? Even the rain, I can get down with the rain. If you said, hey, we want to listen to the rain, I'm like, okay, Shaugger, we'll put the rain on. I can get with that. A little thunder, but no whales. No whales. Sorry, stream.
I'm on your side, Struds, on this one. White noise, background. I will not wear a headband either because I flip-flop in bed all the time. I don't want the chance the headband moves, earplugs come out. White noise, and my wife listens to it. It's perfect. And actually what it does do, when the kids were little, honey, I didn't hear the kids crying. The white noise was on. Sorry, sweetie, you're closer to the door. My fault. But.
Interesting.
Before I get to a couple of comments here, there's some good comments on this. I wear an earbud. I put an earbud in, a Bluetooth earbud, and I listen to a show, but a show that I've heard. I've Seinfeld, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Office, a show I've watched 1,000 times before because I don't want to think about it. And I find that calms my mind, and I just drift off. It's something familiar to me. So that's what I do. I used to... Before I got married, I had a TV in my room, and I did the same thing that way. So that was the compromise there. Couple of great comments here. Lucas said, no whale sounds. I just want a fan or AC. My eyes, boom, I'm asleep. Lucky her. Northern Farm Girl says, I use a fan everywhere. Allison says, I use a sound machine when I sleep during the daytime so the outside noise doesn't wake me. And here's the comment of the day so far from Chief Andy. My sound machine sleeps next to me and she doesn't need batteries.
I'm sure Mrs. Chief Andy loves hearing that one.
Well done, Chief Andy. Listen, Kayla Weethorn here, this cuts to the core. Like, this really cuts to the core here. And we can maybe discuss this for a minute. She says, someone's afraid of his own thoughts at night. And then she sends an upside down smiling face. This actually does cut to the core because I'll be a little vulnerable here, guys. That is an issue for me. When I go to bed after the show, I turn the TV on, or Randine usually has it on. She'll be watching the show and she falls asleep to Struddy's World every night. just puts her out like a light. And I'll put the sleep timer on. I'll put the sleep timer on for 60 minutes, and then I'll put on a show, and that's how I get to sleep at night. I cannot go to bed in a dark room without some sort of something distracting me, and it has to do with that. My brain tends to, life stresses, and the dark stuff tends to creep in at night. If I wake up early in the morning and it's too early to get up and I don't want to turn the TV on, I go with brown noise, and I put a headset in, and I fall back asleep to brown noise. So yeah, Kayla, I feel that comment. Sometimes you can't control where your brain goes, and a little distraction is good. Struds, is that part of it for you too?
No, not at all. But I want to answer that properly, but what's brown noise? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, Brownie, I'm actually interested. Sorry, go ahead, Brownie.
Yeah, I've heard brown, there's brown noise, there's purple noise. Like, you can go on to where I get my thing on my iPhone. It's got every kind, and it's all the different colors, and they're just a little bit different. They're just a different frequency or different.
Yeah,
So
well, I've got it here. I've got brown noise here if you want to listen to it.
Okay, let's hear it.
Everybody's going to fall asleep immediately here. Brownie, I'm kind of interested. I'm surprised, given your Brownie, that you don't use a brown noise, but here it is. It's deeper. It's a little more subtle and chill than a white noise. Here it is.
Yep.
I'm on a plane, right? You're leaning your head up against the window of a plane. That's the noise.
I don't know. Well, that's a cricket. Is there a
there?
cricket in the plane?
Crickets.
Why is there?
Any
cricket
thoughts
in
on that, Brownie? How do you feel about the brown noise to the white noise?
It doesn't matter any of those. Brown noise is good for me. Purple noise, white noise. I just need it's got to be constant. Is what I'm looking for. Is constant. It can't be like there can't be. I don't like waves. I like it just the same thing over and over and over again. So brown noise is fine. We listen to it sometimes too. I'm actually right now. It's called Healing Sounds by Kinsun. Is what we listen to, and I just found it on my iPhone on Apple Music, and that's what I got it. And it just we have to have it. And for me, it's not the thought. It's just I don't want to hear the room creaking or the window creaking or something dripping. That will wake me up. I've got very sensitive ears where I hear everything, so I try to just block out every noise possible. Like the noise on in our room, it's very, very loud, so we don't hear anything else. So.
Meaningful Struddy's World tonight. A deep dive on the sleep habits of some of our viewers and listeners and the fellas here. Thanks for sharing that, Struds. We appreciate it. But bottom line, be a little more courteous. Bring along some headphones and don't subject other people to your stuff when not needed, I would say. I'm taking the final word on this Struddy's World. That was Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Before we let you go, Brownie, let's take a couple of laps. You and Struds around the league. Some injury news. Lots. It just feels like there's so much injury stuff this year as we take laps around the league. Brought to you by Riverside Motorsports, family owned and operated, serving Edmonton and area for over 55 years. They feature top brands like Yamaha, Suzuki, Polaris, Husqvarna, Gas, delivering the best selection in Alberta, a massive inventory of parts and accessories. Check them out at www.riversidemotorsports.com or stop in their store just off St. Albert Trail. Buddy?
Yeah, injuries everywhere, guys. This has been crazy. Now, this one happened off the ice at an event the Devils were at the other night, but Jack Hughes, still unclear exactly what happened, but he cut his finger and he needed surgery that's going to keep him out for at least 8 weeks. He'll be reevaluated after 6 weeks. Jack Hughes cannot stay healthy. And that is part of what is killing the Devils, along with multiple other guys who seem to be unable to stay healthy, Brownie, in that Devils lineup.
Now, his is a freak one, and it's sad because Jack Hughes is a star in this league, and it's sad for both the New Jersey Devils and possibly for Team USA at the Olympics. But if and I know that Shaugger just mentioned it too, there's a ton of injuries around the league, and part of it to me is it's a condensed schedule because of the Olympics. There's not enough rest. Guys are, we know that when you're tired, that's when injuries happen because you're just on the ice, you're a step slow, or your body's not healing enough. You're not getting the proper amount of rest between games. And I'm afraid that this is something that's going to carry on throughout the league all season long, because there are a number of good players, great players, that are missing significant time You just hope that the injury bug doesn't find the Edmonton Oilers later in the season. But I think this is going to be a story stretch for the remainder of the year because of the way the schedule is set up with the Olympics.
Yeah, and that leads us right to another injury, one of many tonight. Drew Doughty was seen walking out with a walking boot, was struck during the game, and who knows what'll happen there. Interesting fact about Jack Hughes, he also is probably going to be on the Olympic team for the U.S., and I'm guessing maybe Drew Doughty's fighting for one of those spots. So, who knows what we'll hear about Drew, whether it's tomorrow or the next day. We get an update on his foot, Brownie.
Well, that's, again, as a fan of Team Canada, I want Drew Doughty on my team. I want the gamesmanship that he brings. He just knows how to win. And so that one, I hadn't heard that till you just said that. So I hope it's nothing long-term, but I would say he would be one of the, down the depth chart for defensemen, and missing any time for him, especially leading into the Olympics, I don't think does him any favors. Might do Evan Bouchard some favors, or possibly the young kid for the Islanders, who is just turning everyone's head with his stellar player. But yeah, I feel for Team Canada. I think Drew Doughty would be, to me, he's on my Team Canada if he's healthy.
I suppose it'd be a good thing for the Oilers if you're looking at the LA Kings and kind of where they're at in the standings. And finally, David Kampf walked away, got his contract terminated with about $3-4 million left on it for this year and next year. Well, he wanted a fresh start, an opportunity to play, and he signed with the Canucks. The Canucks, $1.1 million for the rest of this year. They're really struggling with injuries as well. It seems to be the theme of the show tonight, or this Take a Lap. But he is at best a fourth line center Canucks fan. So sorry, Blominator, you're not getting a 2.0 version of JT Miller.
Well, and also Struds in that one. I mean, I've never been in position to say no to $3 million, and actually more than $3 million he left on the table. I'm like, wow, it's not like you are where Korea and Solani signed $1 million deals to play to win a Stanley Cup because they had a big bank account already. Yeah, that's a little surprising. And again, we had John Shannon on our show tonight, and he said it best. He goes, hey, just what you did, Struts. He's a fourth line center at best. And when the Vancouver Canucks get fully healthy, is he still in the NHL, or is he down in their minor league team making over half less money that he would have been playing in Toronto's farm team?
Yeah, I see. I think Friedman was saying on his podcast too, like there was even talk about him having to pay back a bonus that he'd already gotten as part of this negotiation. At the end of the day, he didn't end up having to, but I think he's got the Olympics in his sight. He's from the Czech Republic, and a chance to play at the Olympics. And it just needs to get going, wants to get going to be able to have that experience and leave some money on the table, but fighting for his NHL career, only 30 years of age. And if he can get a little bit of traction, then maybe that next contract is where things can pay off for him. Good job, fellas. That was Taking a Lap, brought to you by Riverside Motorsports. Brownie, that's it tonight, buddy. Thanks, my friend.
All right, we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, see you, buddy. That is Robbie Brown. Zuby, we've got one break left, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. When we come back, ask us anything. Do us a favor. Throw us a thumbs up during the commercial break if you don't mind. If you don't mind, we would appreciate that. And send us some more questions. Zuby's tracking those, and we'll get to that. Our scoreboard and play of the day still ahead here on Got Your Back, presented by Timberhouse Developments.
Why would you? Nobody puts in wood windows or siding anymore, so why put in wood fences? A maintenance-free vinyl fence from DLR is backed by a lifetime warranty and will save you time. Weekends are for playing, not painting. Go vinyl at dlrvinylproducts.ca.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
All right, time now for our scoreboard, brought to you by the Bridge Fit. They want to remind you most private health benefits reset at the end of the year. If you've been putting off treatment, now's a great time to book and make the most of your coverage before it goes to waste. It'll renew in 26, so year-end availability is filling up fast across their locations. Don't wait. They got clinics in Edmonton, Sherwood Park, Lethbridge, and St. Albert as well. The Bridge, providing accessible team-based care across Alberta. Learn more at thebridge.fit. Zuby, we'll wrap up the poll in just a minute here. Struddy, take us through the scoreboard tonight, though, buddy.
Well, tons of games, 13, so I don't need to get to all of them. But we'll start with the Dallas Stars putting the boots to the Flyers 5-1. Jason Robertson started slow to the year, but he got his 7th, 8th, and 9th of the year. So this guy can score and score quick, so he's starting to feel it, which is good for his team, bad for the rest of the league. The Golden Knights get the first goal of the year from Noah Hannafin. They win 4-1 over the Blues, who continue to struggle through it. The Blackhawks beat the Maple Leafs in Chicago 3-2. Colin Dock playing pretty well. Gets his second goal of the year there. The Sabres, whom the Oilers will play Monday in overtime, beat the Red Wings. Pretty good outcome for them. They've got their captain back, Rasmus Dahlin, who went off and supported his fiance, who was really in a tough medical challenge. She got a heart transplant back in Sweden, I believe I was reading. Pretty incredible. So I'm wishing the best to her and their whole family, because that's really a big deal. And then finally, the Kings beat the Senators 1-0 on the road on the back of the 5th goal of the year by Alex Lafreniere. But my guy, Quinton Byfield, picking up his 13th assist of the year, Shauggy.
You see the Bruins and Canadians. Did you see the deeper highlights in that game? Some of the scraps and the nastiness and stuff. Zadorov got into it there. Jack Guy got into a scrap there as well. It was pretty good. Yeah.
Jeannot, he is a tough guy. If you didn't see the fight, he really he took it to Jack Guy, and Jack Guy is a tough guy. That Jeannot is, he can fight. He is a really, really tough guy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that was our scoreboard. A little bit of love for you here, Zuby, as well on the stream. Somebody posing the question, Alex Kanye posing the question, best synth-based song ever, talking about our Got Your Back retro remix. Matt Blom saying the synth wave remix rocks. I am not lying when I say it literally improves my mood every single show. Every single show that synth remix plays, and my mood brightens, and it makes me feel better. Great job, Zuby.
You can request it earlier if you want. I kind of have that spot for it. Yeah, if you feel like it needs to get bumped
I like
up.
it there. I like it there. We're deeper into the show. People need a little bit of a pick-me-up, right? We're 80 minutes into a show. So I think you've got it perfectly placed, and great job as always. Let's wrap the poll, buddy.
Yeah, so the DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll question tonight was, which of these options best represents how you're feeling about the Oilers losing Troy Stecher on waivers? Too bad. He always gave his best. A runaway winner, 61%. So people saddened, disappointed, appreciated the effort that Stecher gave. No big deal. He's the 8th D, 15% of the vote. Expendable because of Regula, 13%. Would have rather lost Emberson, only 11%. So, people just, I guess, a little bit melancholy, but understand that it's part of the way this roster is designed this year, part of doing business.
I feel like if I was lost on waivers from this podcast, I feel like I'd kind of be the Troy Stecher of this podcast, I think people appreciate the work I put into it. Not overly great, but I work hard. And notable that I'm gone, but still lots of talent remaining, I think would probably be. I am the Troy Stecher of Got Your Back, Struddy.
Do you think you'd get picked up by Overdrive? You'd be plucked off waivers by Overdrive?
No, I'd be heading the American Hockey League.
I think, Shaugger, I'll say that's a pretty arrogant statement. I think you're more the David Kampf. You're the David Kampf of this podcast.
Well played, sir. All right, buddy, let's let her roll. What are people saying?
We got some good stuff to get to here, and I'm just going to kind of go in order of how they came in. Captain Chaos said this came down to one thing simply and one thing only: McDavid's willingness to win. It feels like he's found another gear in the last, say, 5 games. Even in the big loss, he seemed like the only guy who had his wheels going. He had some turnover still in that game, but he seems like he's found another gear these last few games. Struddy?
That he's the leader. He's the captain. That's the job, right? That's the job. Now, it doesn't mean others can't also push. I think we've seen, pretty good play from Roslovic, Savoy, specifically up front. I think those are guys, but there are others that can definitely pick up their play and follow his lead. But when you're the leader, you lead by example. Say, we got to get going, boys. And I think he is doing that right now, but more of the others have to latch on to this impulse.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point, though, Struds. Is it just me, or David has that ability to throw the team on his back, right? We've watched it for years and years. And when he was struggling and they were struggling earlier in the year, it just felt like that was eluding him a little bit. It's a superhuman feat. It's not even fair to expect it, but it's like he's got that superpower back, Struds. He can throw this team onto his back right now and will them to wins, and we've seen a few of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Scotty Knows wants to says, how's Struddy feeling about his McDavid goal number these days? At what point would he be concerned about his prediction? Well, let me say this. Obviously, if you take the more recent number of games, the projection is going to change. But he's actually now averaged with 9 goals after 20 games. The mathematically he would finish with 37. So I mean, it doesn't get any. You're almost bang on there, Struddy. But are you getting a little bit worried?
Well, what was my guess was 36?
30. I thought it was 38.
I think.
Maybe it was
31?
30. Was it that? Well, it was in the 30s. I mean, someone projected, I think, 75
38.
or something. I don't know who it was, but and I hope I'm wrong because it'll be so much fun to watch him. And he is unreal to watch. But if he gets rolling, can get up to 50 after the start he had, yeah, that'd be amazing. But no, I stand by my prediction. There was thought, there was reason to it, and why I brought it up, and here we are. And I hope I'm wrong. Just like when I predicted the Kings would beat the Oilers last year, I hope I was wrong. But I've got to give my honest thoughts or my honest feelings about what could happen.
I love that early season prediction from you. It was very Strudwick-like, and still has a good chance to project out and be true. Love it. Love it when our guys go out on a limb.
All right, Allison wants to know, doubling back to the Troy Stetcher stuff, what does a player on waivers hope happens? Change teams and stay in the show, or go down to the minors but stay with the same team, disruptive to their life? Either way, when the farm team is so far, obviously this is going to, differ based on a number of situations. But what do you think? What do you guys think most players are hoping for when that comes up, Shaugger?
Struddy, why don't you start that? You've been around those guys. I'm not sure if you were ever on waivers, but
no, I never was. I probably could have been or should have been. But I can tell you, I would want to get picked up. You don't want to go to the minors. I don't think I've ever met a player that says, I want to go to the minors so I can play more. I want to stay in the NHL and play, especially Stetcher. He's not 23. This guy is, he's getting near the end of his career. Not that he's done, but it's just, easy. Look at the math and how old he is. So he would want to get picked up and get an opportunity somewhere else. Yeah. I feel that with the Leafs, there is opportunity. Phil Myers is in the NHL right now. And as I said earlier, the Leafs need to reevaluate his status in the NHL as soon as possible. And I think that with that would give an opportunity to Stetcher. Who knows what's going on with Tanev? Brandon Carlo's out now. He could get a chance. And if he can hold his own, make a first pass, which the Leafs are having a tough time doing, there's opportunity from there to play, not be a top 5, but play in their top 6.
The other thing you'd be smart to do is go in there and show a pulse right away. Go out, sure. Throw some big hits and just you'll stand out like a sore thumb.
Compete.
If you go out there and if you compete. Quaddy here firing a stiff chirp says, should we crowdsource buying out Shaugger? So try and get a little cash together and get rid of me. It'll be a big number. But I'm open to it. DM me.
That's pretty funny, Quaddy.
Okay. Haggard Prospector says, Lazar's playing hard. I've been happy with his game for the most part. Do you think he's a guy that's, when we talk about Frederick and Mangiapane, it's Lazar's quietly working his way into a spot where he's going to be harder to take out, Struddy?
Well, I thought more about my whole situation. I mentioned about putting those 3 on a line together. And I honestly think that might be the place to go. Just put him out there and give a clear identity. Lazar knows what he is and what he needs to be to play. The other 2 have bigger contract, and it's not so easy to move on from them like it is Lazar. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see that at some point here.
Yeah, I mean, Just be consistent, right? If you can just be consistent and give the coaches relatively the same thing, you're going to stand out because they got a bunch of players right now. They're not sure what they're going to get from. And Frederick is certainly one of them. Mangiapane is another. Just do your job and be consistent. Make it difficult for them to take you out. And Lazar certainly is an NHL player that has the ability to do that for me. And that's what he's been doing more lately.
Gong Show, this is we talked about this a little bit on Struddy's World, but I'd like to hear you guys maybe go a little bit deeper. What do the Oilers have to do to get better on the puck battles in their own end? They look slow to the pucks and come out on the losing end of the puck battles too often. Is that just engagement, effort, something you can practice? How do you improve that, Struds?
Well, you got to prepare for the battle. And I hate to bring up Frederick, but the other night, he's not ready for that battle. He gets out muscled by, I think it was Marchenko of Columbus. Like, be ready for it. Before it even comes to you, be ready for it. And then when it comes, you can now maybe be the aggressor in it rather than bouncing off guys or getting pushed off. So you 100% can practice. I think it's sometimes reminders. The problem is, Zoobs, there's no practices. Like, tomorrow's a travel day for the Oilers. Then you're not going to do battle drills, or it's rare to see battle drills in a morning skate in Buffalo. So I do think practice matters, and those are little reminders the coaches can have at that time. Video isn't the same as feeling it and being yelled at to battle and compete in your own zone.
Yeah, we were commenting last practice after that loss to the Colorado Avalanche. We were watching the practice in between. And Knoblauch isn't a guy to line him up, Struds, and have him like really grind in battle drills to drill home that point. I haven't really seen him do that. I'm sure you've been through it where it's a crappy effort, and then the next thing you know, you're doing one-on-one battle drills on the boards and puck protection stuff and 2-on-2s and just stuff where it's very clear what the coach wants from you. I haven't seen Knoblauch do that in practice in those sorts of moments. He still stays pretty functional with his decisions, and the things that he does, they're more strategy-based and such as opposed to dig in. I just think he really values practice time and doesn't necessarily want to have to spend it on that kind of stuff. But I agree with you. Over the years, we've seen you just force the players to dig in. You just make it crystal clear what's lacking.
Yeah, and I challenge Knoblauch there because I get it. I think he's trying to reserve the guys' energy, but I'm not talking about 45 minutes of competing drills. You can have 10, 15 minutes of compete drills, and just as a reminder and to remind the guys what it feels like. And that's not going to kill their energy. If you do 10, 15, let's say even 20 minutes of it, 20 minutes, how much are the guys really doing? I doubt you're going even 10 minutes of the time. You have guys rotating in, but it creates a sense of this is what competing looks like and feels like for the group and the individuals. So
and
I would
do want
challenge
to be fair. I'm not at every practice. I'm not on the road with them, and I'm not at every practice. So it might be going on and I'm unaware, but it's just I haven't seen that real pointed practice where it's crystal clear the message that he's sending.
Shaugger, JL asking, have you heard what Nuge's injury is? I don't think he's on the road trip, right? We haven't heard much, or I haven't.
Yeah.
Do we know what's going on with Nuge and what his timeline is?
Yeah, it all happened pretty late and pretty close to the road trip. So no, at this point, I have to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of extra information, but I haven't been chasing it that hard. So maybe in the next day or so, I'll dig in and see if we can figure something out. But I think we got a bit of a sense on his timeline, and I don't believe he's on the trip.
Here's kind of an interesting one. Jeff McDonald said, some of my favorite analysts are former players, example, Struddy, Brownie, Louie, etc. Who do you guys see on that path from the Oilers or around the league, or coaching, management? Stu and Hyman come to mind. Who's the next great ascension of a Kevin Bieksa, or who do you guys look at who might be in and around later in their career, or maybe newly retired that might would be a good fit as far as you see it? Shaugger, you got anybody in mind?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a willingness to get in there and do it. And that's one of the things I really admired about Struds is as soon as he was done playing, he dove into this industry in a way that not a lot of guys fresh out of the game do that. Struds, like you went in with both feet, man. It was pretty impressive to watch you kind of commit to it. And not everybody necessarily is willing to do it in that way. I think Tyson Barrie is probably a guy that has some potential there, well-spoken, well-liked. I think he's a pretty funny guy. Patrick Maroon is working his way in south of the border, just fresh out of the game as well. So he's someone that's in there. Devin Dubnyk is doing more and more along the way here. But I don't know, Struds, you see any stars in the making?
Brad Marchand, easy. He's going to be, he loves a mic. He's witty. I think he'd absolutely kill it. Put him and Biz on a panel together. I think that they would just absolutely kill it. Be great for the NHL.
Yeah, great point by you. Yeah. Couple more, Zuby. We'll wrap her up.
Okay, the Neon Rider says, I want to see Mangiapane with Nuge on a third line for a few games before I'm ready to fire him into the sun. Struddy, you advocated for this, as that's where you kind of see it all playing out with Hyman coming back. Do you see something there that maybe Nuge can spark this guy, can kind of get this guy on track to what we hope to see from him?
Well, usually that's kind of the role that Henrique has played, right? He kind of gets the younger guys or the guys that are maybe struggling on that fourth line, and he seems to breathe some life into them. But yeah, I think it's clear Nuge will be on that third line. I really do. He'll be running it. So Mangiapane's there with Savoy up on that top line. It's an open audition for that right side. I don't see Tomaszek there. Trent Frederick, I don't know that that's the right fit there either, the way he's going right now. Help me out. Isaac Howard's not around anymore. Is it Janmark? I'm not sure, because Henrique would have to go. I guess he could be the right winger on that line. I guess Shaugger, but
he's versatile. Some interesting decisions.
Who's that?
Yeah, Henrique is versatile and can move around a fair amount if you need him to. But I agree. They're not firing Mangiapane into the sun.
No,
listen, you don't give up on a signing like that a month and a half into the season because the early results aren't there. And I know Oiler fans are frustrated, but I'm reading comments about buying out Frederick and talking about firing Mangiapane into the sun. It's still early, and I know it's concerning, but this is not, it doesn't always just click, and you have to give it a little bit of breathing room and a little bit of time. And if by playoff time they've figured it out and sorted themselves out and are contributing more meaningfully, then really that's what they're here for. So I don't know. I don't think the level of panic needs to be as high that some of these things aren't fitting in the first 7 weeks of the season.
Well said.
Okay, two more here. One hockey one, and then we'll talk Grey Cup really quick. Riot's Edge says, what's the funniest thing that has happened or was said when a coach was yelling at the team when you guys played? Was there ever a moment where a coach is blowing his stack and something happens that turns it into a moment of levity or silliness?
It's not really that funny. When he's ripping you and you just pray that he's not looking at you or directing his comments at you. And over the course of the season, especially with yellers, it always hits you. Someone gets you, right? So I can't really remember anything that was funny in there at all. He just wanted to end. Just finish this off.
Yeah. All our good players in Kamloops all went to the World Juniors one year. And so we were without them playing those games at Christmas, Struds, without the big guys. Like Jerome was gone, Dominic Kelly was gone. Who else made that team? A bunch of other guys were gone. And we were getting absolutely pumped by Tri-Cities 5-0 after the first period. And Stu McGregor, our GM, decided to come in, and he went after a tub of Gatorade. And it just went badly. It just went badly. It was everywhere and just sort of exploded all over the place. So, and that's one of those ones you're just biting on your towel, trying not to laugh, right? You're trying not to laugh. And then I had another one in minor hockey where our coach came in and I accidentally spit on his pant leg and he didn't see it. It just kind of came out the side of my mouth and this was Al Glendenning, Struds. I don't know if you remember.
I know Al, yeah.
For a bit. Yeah, a big, tough, crazy bastard. And he was just ripping into us and he's walking around and I spit and it landed on the back of his pant leg. And half the team saw it and everyone looked at me and I would have been dead. I'd have been dead. So I escaped death there. But those are the two I can think of.
Struddy, what was the one you told the story? I love this where you said that he's yelling at the team and if you guys don't play better, then this guy's being sent to the minors tomorrow.
I don't remember the player, but he had just been called up and I don't think he played. I remember he just sitting there eating a banana or a sandwich or something and Mark Crawford was just unloading on us. And this guy he hadn't even played. No one's even listening. He's like, yeah, if you guys don't start playing better, this guy's getting sent down. And he just looks up. He's like, I didn't even play you. And honestly, he left a big impression because I don't remember who he is. And I'm not big timing. Like, it was like he was there for maybe 3 days, didn't play.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like it's too early to talk Christmas movies. We've got lots of Christmas movie chatter today. Blommer said as soon as the podcast's over, he's going to watch Die Hard. Is that a Christmas movie? I think we had a big debate on that last year. I think we got to get back to that, but and Kayla's asking what our favorite Christmas movies are. I think we got to get a little closer to December for that. So we got Grey Cup this weekend. We got Saskatchewan and Montreal. Calvin Best wants to know who's winning the Grey Cup and by how much. You guys got a prediction?
Oh, shoot. I made one on a show earlier this week, and I can't remember what it is now. So I'm going to have two different predictions out there. I know I picked Saskatchewan. I think it was in the 20s. Saskatchewan, both teams in the 20s. How's that?
Saskatchewan's going to rip those guys in half. Davis Alexander's going to be running for his life with his bad hamstring. I've got the Rough Riders winning by 3 touchdowns.
I'll be the contrarian. I like Jason Moss. I think it is going to be low scoring, so I'll say the Alouettes take it on a last second field goal, or maybe even a Rouge. They'll win it by 1.
A Rouge.
All right. That was a lively edition of Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. It's an Edmonton-based independent electric wholesaler offering a wide range of products from lighting and lighting controls, wiring accessories, control and hazardous products, you name it, and they will probably have it, serving electrical contractors working in Alberta's oil and gas, commercial, residential, and OEM sectors. Check them out online, bjelectric.ca. We talk a lot about mainline water and sewer on the show. Doing great work in the Strudwick neighborhood, and a new set of sponsors this year. They bring us our play of the day every day. Struddy, what do we got tonight, buddy?
Buffalo Sabres are down 4-1 to, I believe it's Detroit, and they come all the way back, and in overtime, Tage Thompson gets his own rebound, passes back to a D-man, Matthias Samuelsson, who buries it, and they win 5-4. Unbelievable. Bad time for the Oilers. That means maybe the Sabres are peaking, but it was fun to watch and see that goal. But you come back and score 4 in a row. That's a play of the day, boys.
There it is. Tage Thompson going to be an Olympian? I don't know if he'll get there for the U.S.
I don't think so. Really good player. I guess the bigger question, will he be a Sabre? There's some rumors out there I've seen that he might be moving.
Yeah, had that huge year a little while back. Be interesting to see what he could do playing some meaningful hockey. That'll wrap the show. That was our play of the day, brought to you by Mainline Water and Sewer. You can check out all they do at mainlinewaterandsewer.ca. Zuby, nice job tonight, buddy. Struds, you were dialed. Some good chirps and good energy tonight. Looking forward to doing it again in a couple of days, guys. Thank you.
Let's do it.
I'm out for a bit. I'll see you guys later in the week.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. You're taking a few days off. So Simply Steve.
It's going to be a Simply Steve fest here for 3 days. He's going to be doing lots of stuff. Ray and Dregs, Struddy's World. He's going to be all over the place.
Love it.
Well, I look forward to it. All right, Zuby, fade that music down and let's leave with a little Zuby appreciation. Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Probably going to get killed with copyright on this.
You're going to...
Zooby, zooby,
Wow,
zoo,
yeah.
zooby, zoo, zooby, zoo means that I love you. Zooby, zooby, zoo.